Hey guys, what's going on? It's another Idol. We are back inside of Destiny, and today we're talking about the Bungie stream that took place inside of the tower and revealed some interesting changes that are coming within the Taken King. I'm going to be going through the whole stream piece by piece, discussing what has been discussed publicly by Bungie, and also discussing some of the things that weren't discussed at face value, but were sneakily revealed on purpose or accidentally, I'm not sure, but I can take a guess that this was done on purpose. Bungie like their fans to pick apart stuff like this, and this is what we do whenever they do things like these Twitch reveals, so let's get into it. The first big change that was discussed during the reveal was the changes to light level. This is going to change the way in which light level and how leveling in general functions. The current setup is that you hard level through gaining experience to level 20, and then gear with light value levels you to the current light level cap of 34. It's quite a confusing system, and people have been caught in traps, especially in the vanilla game, where they cannot progress past a certain level, hence the Forever 29 meme that spawned early on in the game. So now we have a hard level cap of 40. You're going to be earning experience from killing enemies, completing bounties, etc., which is going to be contributing to your overall level. Light level does not contribute to your overall level anymore, however, instead, light level is now an average value of your attack and defense levels. This means that more casual players have a much better chance of reaching max level. The way that this now works means that light level is going to be more progressive. Instead of being level 32 going into a level 33 raid and having a 30% reduction in the amount of damage you could take, it is going to be much less, and this percentage will be less noticeable and much more progressive as you level. This is a much smarter way that doesn't punish players as harshly as the current light leveling system. To me, this is a much welcome addition all around. It is also worth noting here that it isn't only weapons and armor that contribute to the new light system. Class items and ghost shells now have light attributed to them, so they are going to be taken into consideration when calculating your new light level. The statistics UI has also had a slight update. This has now helped to explain how having increased intellect, discipline or strength affects your current build. Right now we only have percentages to go on, but with the new UI it is split into tiers. You can now see the effect of having a higher intellect and see by how much the cooldown has been affected by this. There was a lot of confusion by the percentages, and the whole intellect, discipline and strength system wasn't very clear. We knew that having increased values in each one kind of did, but we didn't know by exactly how much it was affected. It is worth noting that your current level is going to grandfather you into the Taken King. So if you have a bunch of gear that gets you to level 34, you're going to start off at level 34. If you're under that, don't worry, you have plenty of time to gear up before the Taken King drops. So just to clarify this, Bungie are going to be looking at the gear that is on your character and within your vault, and then they're going to use that data to figure out the maximum level you can be with that gear using the current year 1 system. And then they're going to grandfather you in at that level going into patch 2.0. So just to make sure you understand this, do not dismantle anything before the patch 2.0 goes live. Bungie are going to be using all of that weapons and armor to calculate the level that you should be going into the Taken King. There have also been multiple UI changes overall going into patch 2.0, which give the overall aesthetic of Destiny a much cleaner look, and it makes it much more interesting to look at. A good example of this is all of the subclasses have new imagery, and bounties also have new icons, which are more of a flat UI style, and it looks pretty stylish. So moving on to the topic of bounties and quests, etc., there are now a total of 16 bounty slots, 6 more than we have had so far. This is various amounts of new bounties that are going to be included within the Taken King. PvP and PvE bounties have been updated, so there's going to be a lot more to do, which is great. This is something that I feel had gotten quite stale, and so it's good to see that there are a whole new bunch of bounties to do. Bounties and quests can now also be tracked, which means you don't have to go into your inventory and look at the bounty to see your progress. You can select which bounties you want to track and then pull out your ghost to see the progress on the right side of the screen. You can track a total of 4 bounties or quests at any one time. One of the big changes with bounties is that you can also redeem them from the quest page. No more travelling back to the tower or the reef to redeem your experience or reputation. This, for me, is a real time saver. There are also weekly bounties that can be completed, and if you complete all of the weekly bounties, you complete the last weekly bounty automatically, and this gives you the chance for Nightfall tier rewards. This is a feature on the Crucible bounties and the new Trials of Osiris bounties only, and the Crucible Quartermaster also has some new bounties and weekly bounties, but these ones are more weapon focused. So the Taken King is going to have a much larger focus on quests, and a lot of content in Destiny is going to be questified in some way or another. Right down to subclasses, they will now have their own quest lines, and each vendor has their own quest line, etc, etc. So the new quest page can hold a total of 32 quests at any one time, and this already puts out a feel for the scale of how important quests are going to be going forward. This is great news to me, and it gives Bungie a real chance to expand on the lore of Destiny in the game, rather than confining it to the Grimoire cards, which are off out onto their site on the internet, and it means that you have to leave the game to actually go and view them. The quest page also shows you what the quest is, what you need to do to complete the quest, and also the rewards that you will receive from doing the quest. One of the quest steps that was shown detailed that upon completion you would receive a heavy weapon upgrade, which would be a guaranteed heavy weapon drop upon completion of the quest, and this would generally be a higher attack value than the one that you currently have. This system is also used for all of the new subclasses that are being released with the Taken King. You will have to complete a quest in order to unlock the ability to use the new subclass. This isn't new information, but it further clarifies Bungie's efforts to questify a lot of the content to give it some more depth. And I felt that this was sorely missing within the vanilla game and within DLC 1. House of Wolves, however, started to change that, and we definitely saw a glimpse of the direction Bungie were going with this sort of content. There is also going to be a new item given out to everyone who has purchased the Taken King, and this is called the Spark of Light. This bumps a new character straight up to level 25, and this ensures that they can play the Taken King straight away and jump in. This is geared towards new players coming into the Destiny franchise, but if you have an ult and you want to level it up, then this is also a great opportunity to do so quickly. You also get geared up with some appropriate gear. We don't quite know what this is exactly, but it seems to start you off on the right path. There have also been some fun little touches that Bungie have added, which are more sort of aesthetic changes to your character whilst you're running around the tower. The first change isn't tower related, but you can now choose to not display your helmet in your character inventory screen. Another change is that you can now choose which weapon you want to display on your Guardian whilst walking around the tower. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this, as I feel it's quite useless, but many others might like it to purely keep up appearances. One thing that has been a burning question for many for a while, and this is information that has been data mined over and over again, is ghost shells. Ghost shells are going to be able to be purchased from vendors and have light level. Ghosts also have unique perks which can help you to locate materials, for example. The perks that ghosts have make it easier for you to find resources. There is also a set of PvP specific ghosts sold by Lord Shaxx. These give PvP specific bonuses such as increased glimmer gains for certain class kills in the Crucible, and they also offer the standard ghost perks that you'd find from other vendors. Class items work in a very similar way. They now have a light level and they offer intellect, discipline and strength buffs, and also help towards increasing the upgrade rate for types of weapons. These focus on helping you level up faster, so they take much more of an important role going forward into year 2. Class items still have the classic increased reputation gains, but generic class items now have these features too, and this isn't limited to faction class items. These are no longer just vanity items. We've also seen glimpses of a new kiosk system with the recent departure of Tess Everest within the tower, and we've seen it in action during the stream as well. Within the tower, there are various kiosks for certain things, so we'll go through them one by one. The first kiosk is located near Eva Levente, and this contains all of the emblems and shaders and ships that you have acquired over your Destiny career. These collections enable you to clear some of that vault space and inventory space, as you can take them from your collection, dismantle them, and then retake them from your collection. This system, especially with shaders, tries to provide you with shaders you haven't received yet, and it's kind of like the smart loot system that's introduced with a Crota's End, but it seems like the algorithm used for this has improved considerably. This also reduces the frustration that many players felt when opening faction packages and received multiple of the same shader over and over again, only having one particular shader left to find. The kiosk collection system details the things you already have from past gameplay, so don't worry about having to build up your collection, it will already be there. The collections also show you which emblems, shaders and ships you haven't received yet, and they detail how to get them. Some of them require quests, strikes or other activities to gain them. Factions are also getting a bit of an overhaul. Instead of wearing the class item, you now pledge allegiance to a faction. You can only change your allegiance to a faction once per week, so choose wisely. You don't just earn faction rep for your chosen faction of choice either. If you're playing Crucible, for example, you'll also earn Crucible rep alongside faction reputation. It isn't exclusive anymore, and the same goes for Vanguard rep. Factions also give you the opportunity to exchange materials for reputation packages, so if you've got an abundance of materials and you want to get rid of some, you can now buy reputation by exchanging materials for a reputation package. Factions still work much the same way that they did before. You still have tiers of weapons and armors that you can purchase once you reach a specific rank. However, the biggest news to come from all of this in regards to factions is the packages themselves. Packages will now drop a guaranteed legendary alongside some strange coins, motes of light, and faction-specific items such as shaders and ships now have an increased drop rate. This is a big change because I did a video a while ago where faction packages were just really bad, so this change is very welcomed by me. Purchasing weapons from factions is also changing with the change to how marks are being used. Crucible marks and Vanguard marks are being combined into a new currency called legendary marks, and these legendary marks are now universal, much like Glimmer is across all of your characters. You can only hold 200 at a time, but there is actually no limit on how many legendary marks you can earn per week. Currently you can only earn a total of 200 per week, but that is changing, so now you can earn as many legendary marks as you like per week. It's also worth noting that legendary weapons and armors, when dismantled, now create legendary marks. Old marks are being converted to commendations, and they're being sent to your postmaster once the patch goes live. You'll be able to burn these commendations for faction reputation and level up your factions, and then you'll get a package and hopefully get some new gear in the process. Just a quick note that the Cryptarch is also now going to be selling legendary engrams for 60 legendary marks each. The Gunsmith is a new addition to the world of factions in Destiny. The Gunsmith's faction is quite simple. You field test guns for the Gunsmith and then you gain rep based on these tests. The guns are effectively rented and the field tests are similar to weapon bounties in nature. The reputation gains give you access to Arms Day orders, which give you foundry weapons. So you buy one of the Arms Day orders, and when Wednesday rolls around, your order is delivered to you from the Gunsmith. The Arms Day orders rotate on a weekly basis, so we now have Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday to look forward to. It also looks like reforging is going away. Personally, I'm pretty happy with this. It gave the opportunity for way too many people to have god rolls on most of their weapons, and it basically put the game on easy mode. Whilst it was fun, I didn't like how reforging turned out for the game, and I pretty much ended up avoiding this feature, so I'm happy to see this go. So let's talk about armor and weapons. Armors now come with some specific perks that boost your defense against certain burn types, and these are configurable. You can customize your build even further with these, and it's an interesting addition, and we should see some great experiments with builds in the future. Some of these perks boost recovery, and some of these perks also boost your armor rating when using specific subclasses. The one that was shown in the stream was entitled Solar Armor, and this gives you increased armor when using a solar based subclass. This was actually on a Warlock, so it would be interesting to see if this perk stacked in conjunction with the Ram, and to be honest, this would make Sunsingers even more overpowered with that combination. Armor is going to be seeing more depth, and builds are going to become more complicated and intricate, which is a good thing for diversity. This makes a wider range of gear more valuable at the end game, and this means that we could be searching for gear for a lot longer than we have in the past, which is something that people have achieved relatively quickly, especially with weapons and the reforging feature. Weapon foundries have their place in the game, and you can get some faction-specific weapons from these foundries. Basically, there are more perks coming along with these as well. So let's talk exotics. Exotic weapons and armor are also changing within the Taken King. Firstly, select Year 1 exotics have been upgraded going into the Taken King, and these have been upgraded so that the exotic perk is already unlocked, so you can just test it out straight away without having to grind to level it up and unlock that piece's signature perk. There are also new perks being added to these upgraded versions of weapons and armor. However, not all exotics are getting this treatment, and unfortunately it looks like the Yalahorn is being left out of this treatment. So there's actually a new kiosk for a blueprint collection system. And this is very much like the shaders, emblems and ship system. And this actually collects what exotics you have found or purchased and stores them for you. You can dismantle them and reacquire them via the blueprint collection kiosk within the Hall of Guardians. From the information that we've seen so far, the exotic weapons that are being brought forward into the Taken King from Year 1 are the following. We've got the Saurus Regime, The Last Word, Truth, Bad Juju, Invective, the Hawk Moon, Monte Carlo, and the Thunderlord. To get the new and upgraded versions of these weapons is going to cost you 150 legendary marks, so there are some important decisions to be made when we first enter the Taken King as to where legendary marks are going to be spent first. There are tons of new exotic weapons to chase and get the blueprints for, which is really exciting. All legendary Year 2 weapons will have a new feature called Infuse. And the way that Infuse works is that you gain a weapon that you like, you go to the Infuse screen and you consume another weapon that is of a higher power level to bump up that particular piece of armor or weapon. And this can be done throughout the lifetime of Year 2. Just to keep up with the power curve that's going to occur once more DLCs come out for the Taken King. Personally, I feel like this is a much cleaner way of ascending weapons and armor going forward. Year 1 ascending proved to be quite a mess, so it's good to see that Bungie have finally refined the idea into something that could work very well. This only works on Year 2 legendaries and exotics, so no Year 2 level Fatebringer, unfortunately, guys. It's not going to happen. Just let it go. So the last thing we're going to cover is the Vault, and this has been a burning issue for many players for a very long time. And it's just something that people have been after for a long time. It's been one of those recurring things that Bungie have been seeing over and over again, is just more vault space, please, more vault space. So they've actually gone ahead and split the vault up into different tabs. These tabs are weapon, armor and general. And overall, vault space has been doubled for weapons and just over doubled for armor space. And the general tab is actually the same size, but with the new collection kiosks, you don't really need the general tab as much. You can just use the collection kiosks to save space. Whilst this is interesting, what I found more interesting was actually what was in the vault during the stream. If you take a closer look, you can actually see a sword that Deej quickly swoops over with his cursor. And there's also a legendary version of what looks like the Stranger's Rifle. So This could indicate that the Stranger's Rifle is going to follow the same upgrade path as the Husk of the Pit to the Necrochasm. So this begs the question, will the Stranger's Rifle eventually become the Fate of All Fools through the same upgrade path that the Husk of the Pit took to get to the Necrochasm? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure we'll know soon enough once the Taken King drops. It seems like we're also going to get a new weapon class, and that is a sword. We've seen glimpses of this in past videos that Bungie have released recently. These have only been slight glimpses in the weapon and ammo box on the left hand side of the screen, but it's not really been that clear. What we've seen today, however, is some more details about one of the weapons in the vault, and this particular one that was in Deidre's vault was called the Arc Edge. The only perk that we can see on this hover box is hold L2 to guard, effective against solar and void attack, less effective against arc attack. So it seems we're going to get a new weapon type. It's pretty interesting. I'm very excited to see how this weapon type fares against the usual weaponry we're used to within Destiny. Are we going to have the same point of view as we did with the Crota's End sword? I don't know, but let's just move on for now. I'm not going to touch on this too much because there's not enough information there really to make any sorts of judgments. But at the end of the stream, we also saw some sneak peeks into some of the dancers that were going to be making their way into Year 2. And these were the ones that would make you throw that money at the screen. And personally, I thought they looked a lot better than what was already in the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing what other emotes are going to be released. Overall, the stream was a pretty big success. When I checked, it had a concurrent viewership of 245,000 viewers, which for a dead game is pretty damn high. So everybody that's saying Destiny is dead, is it? Is it really? I don't think it is. But to be honest, let's forget all that stuff. Most of the features that were shown were great additions. I feel like a lot of them should have been added from the start. But if this is the kind of changes that Bungie are making now, what are they going to make in the future, and how are they going to change Destiny in the future? It's looking really bright, personally. So that's all from me today. This has been a very long video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the stream within the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time back inside of Destiny.